Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you very much for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of a slice of your day. You know that I appreciate you. There's a lot to talk about today. There is. I'm going to continue to lament the fall of Laramie Tunsil in the NFL draft. I feel really bad for the guy. Like it's semi-humorous because, you know, I mean, he's losing money in this, but like not real money. Like he's still going to make a nice chunk of change. But it's weird that a guy that was going to be the number one overall pick in the draft is probably going to be taken 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. Especially with the reports today that the Chargers aren't going to take him. They're going to probably go for Stanley, picking third in the draft. So, I mean, I'm interested in how all of that is playing out. There was an opportunity for that to work out. Jamarcus Russell, the former quarterback bust in the NFL, former number one overall pick of the Oakland Raiders, he sent a letter to every NFL team. He wants another chance. And he said he'll play for free. Now, if that doesn't do something for somebody, I mean, I don't know what will. Jamarcus Russell said he'd play for free. And so we'll talk about second chances there because I think that's interesting. But this is a sports show, first and foremost. But I am interested in many things, right? Like last week, we spent a decent amount of time talking about Prince, which is crazy to me because I haven't listened to like that much Prince music. I didn't realize I had that many opinions on Prince. But there's a lot. But today we're going to talk a little bit of politics because I am interested in Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and Kasich and how the Republicans are, the state of the Republicans. It's very fascinating, and it ties into a lot of sports thoughts. Also, Beyonce released an album just out of nowhere again. She does this, and she's done it again. And in this album, it's also a video album that debuted on MTV, and she also hints at maybe Jay-Z cheating on her in the album. So now everyone's really talking about it. And it's just weird. The whole thing's gotten strange. So I want to talk about that too. This is a sports show, but there's just so much of that weirdness attached to it that like I can't avoid it, man. But before we jump into those topics and many, many more, this is Clutch with Keon Rose. We do this every week from 6 to 7, every day, every weekday that is. And you can listen to us in a number of different places. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And on our Twitter page, you can basically find the link to hotnewstalkradio.com where you can stream all of our shows live and find the link to our YouTube page where we stream all of our local shows live and have our classic episodes. We never, ever call them old. You can also find us in the TuneIn Radio app. That's the TuneIn Radio app. Search it. It's absolutely free in your favorite app store. Simply search Hot News Talk Radio in the app, give us a favorite, and press play, and you'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. So I want to talk a little bit about the draft, just really quickly, because the fallout from the NFL draft has been great. I don't know if we've had this much action from the NFL draft before the actual draft. But not on the day of the draft, because you know how those draft day trades are. And maybe you watched the movie Draft Day, which was not really 100% accurate depiction of the NFL draft with Kevin Costner. But it is a semi-interesting look at how all of that works, especially if you have friends and family that are not football fans. You can kind of see how that all works. But then, of course, in the end, he ends up making trades on like emotions and feelings, and that's just not how any of this is supposed to work. But in the movie, there's a lot of draft day trades. He's the GM of the Browns, and he's moving them all the way up and down the draft board. But I don't know if we've ever seen this much action previous to draft day that's had this many consequences, because it's had a lot. You've got the Rams swapping picks with the Titans. The Titans end up with a boatload of picks. They can do whatever they want. They can go in whatever direction they want with this team and try and make themselves a contender within the next 5 years. Then the Browns end up jumping back, actually, trading their pick with the Eagles. The Eagles end up giving the Browns a boatload of picks, and the Eagles already have a quarterback. The Eagles jumped up in this draft to draft a quarterback, and they already have a quarterback. So now Sam Bradford, their current quarterback, he's not happy. And Sam Bradford doesn't want to be on a team that's trying to replace him. And any other teams that are interested in picking him up, he doesn't want it for cheap. But anyone who has watched Sam Bradford play, and it's possible you could have missed it because he's also been injured a ton. Anyone who's watched Sam Bradford play knows that he is not worth the money that he's asking for. Like, dude is delusional. He realized, like, Sam Bradford is the last rookie quarterback to get a mega contract. In fact, he's the one that broke the system. Sam Bradford got drafted by the St. Louis Rams, and what he decided to do was hold out. And the thing is, it wasn't uncommon. Everybody was doing this. Everybody holds out in camp to try and leverage more money from a team, especially a desperate team that needs you to come in. They drafted you to be their quarterback. They want you to start right away. And the league ended up, after Sam Bradford, instituting a rookie pay scale because, of course, Sam Bradford broke the system. He got himself a mega deal without actually proving that he was good at quarterback. And so far, he's really just been average. Like, statistically, in every way, just average, and in some ways below average because he is a turnover machine. And in other ways, also below average because he just isn't able to stay healthy and on the field. You know, and it's interesting that Sam Bradford thinks that he is worth the amount of money that he's worth. It's not going to work. Okay, look, I think about it like I think about Apple. Apple is an interesting company because initially, they made a lot of money off of trafficking in the next big idea, in the next big thing. That's what they got known for. Okay, when Apple invented or created the iPod, there was no such thing as an iPod. There were no other devices on the market that portably allowed you to play music and carry music digitally. And if they were, they weren't marketed well enough to take advantage of the fact that that's a really cool idea. There was no iPod. Now, Apple is playing in a field where they're trying to innovate, but they're trying to innovate things that already exist. The Apple Watch, there were lots of companies that had that idea before them. Pebble being one that actually got their start on Kickstarter. The putting software on a watch is not a novel idea. They're talking about putting software in cars. Well, Google's already beaten you to the punch. You're playing in a world now where all of the ideas, you're not innovating anything. You're trying to tweak ideas that already exist. Apple hasn't innovated anything in years. It's been years. And so now people are looking for Apple to make the next big thing. And those people are about as delusional as Sam Bradford is. It's not coming. I don't know if you want to give Steve Jobs the credit. It's rough, but there's no new ideas forthcoming from that company. There hasn't been for a while. It's hard. Sam Bradford plays the quarterback position in the NFL. It's hard. But you know what? If you haven't done anything new in the last 5 to 6 years, there's not going to be another giant contract for Sam Bradford. There's no more paydays for him. And I don't know what his agent is telling him, and I don't know what his camp is telling him, but they're delusional too if they're telling him that he can make more money somewhere else. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. He's got to go out in Philadelphia this season and play hard. I mean, it's not like the quarterback that the Eagles are going to draft can replace him immediately. They can't. The quarterback that they're going to draft is a guy that is going to need 1 to 2 years to develop anyway. Go out there, show the league what you can do, and then try and make your payday off of just actually having good tape, having good highlights out there for people to look at, because there aren't any right now. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today. You know that I appreciate you. When we talk about pop culture, okay, because I find it interesting because there are lots of things that happen in the world of sports that cannot happen anywhere else, that literally cannot happen anywhere else, okay? We talk about a guy like Les Miles at LSU. What Les Miles is doing at his job, you cannot do at your job. I cannot do at my job. You cannot go to work where your bosses hate you. They hate you. They don't think you get very good results. They don't like you. They've gotten together to get you fired, and you're not fireable. And they all have to eat a bunch of crow, and you didn't do anything political. Okay, you didn't go all Game of Thrones or at least the Los Angeles Lakers on anybody. You didn't do anything political. You're just not touchable. Just a bunch of people that don't work at your company but support your company don't want you fired, and you're not fireable. That's the LSU fan base. They do not want Les Miles gone. So Les Miles has still got a job. They're trying to make it easier to fire him next season. So if he doesn't do something this season, it's going to be the end for him. But last season, they tried to fire him too. And they all stood there looking just smarmy and miserable as they had to basically say, we're not firing Les. Our bad. Our bad. And only in sports could that actually occur. Okay? You've got baseball players. You offend somebody else on the other team. They're throwing a pitch at you. Yeah, well, only in baseball could that actually happen. You cannot go around dealing out justice in your place of employment. If you're an accountant or a mechanic and somebody gets on your nerves, you can't throw a wrench at them. That you can't do that. That's not allowed. It's not okay. But you can in baseball, right? Is that not the weirdest thing ever? It is the strangest thing ever. Like, sports probably creates, more so than any other form of entertainment, weird things that can't happen anywhere else. Except, apparently, in the world of music, where so many strange things are happening all at once. You've got Beyonce releasing Lemonade. It's a music album in which she calls out her husband, Jay-Z, for cheating on her. An album that she also released exclusively on the website Tidal, spelled Tidal. Tidal, like Spotify. It's a similar site to Spotify. It's got music on it. You can pay to stream the music that's on there, and you can have it on your mobile device anywhere you go, I suppose. And that streaming service, Tidal, is owned by none other than Jay-Z, which is just strange to me beyond levels, right? There was a line in the song that Beyonce was singing that's something along the lines of, you know, go back to Becky with the good hair. Becky with the good hair, allegedly being a woman named Rachel Roy. Rachel Roy. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because if you watch Food Network, and I am a fan of Food Network, I do like the Food Network. You may be aware of celebrity cook Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray cooks food. She has nothing to do with this at all. She is separate of this, except that Rachel Ray kind of sounds like Rachel Roy, and all of the Beyonce fans have just descended on Rachel Ray on Instagram and on Twitter, and they are just making her life miserable in a way that makes no sense. And I thought that this was an arena specifically dominated by sports, the weird social situations that cannot happen anywhere else. But if you don't want any more proof that you don't consume sports in a vacuum, this is the most frightening thing. They have just descended on her she posts a picture of a burger and a burrito and a taco, and like people are just leaving absolutely hateful messages on her profile, except that Rachel Ray doesn't have anything to do with this. She just cooks food. That's all she does. That's it. She just cooks food. You do not, Beyonce's fans, you do not want to kick that beehive. Like that is a group of people that will just wreck your life. And sports fans can be the same way. They really can. In a way that's probably not quite as irrational, but kind of still, though. Because you end up with what I like to call sports fan entitlement, where you feel entitled to say whatever you want and do whatever you want because, well, you know what? I've been a fan of the Braves for 40 years. So if a player plays for the Braves and they're not very good, I can criticize this player in whatever manner I see fit because I'm a sports fan. Probably even more dangerous for me because I stand in front of a microphone. So when I criticize somebody with a level of entitlement, the entire world foreseeably can hear it because, of course, hotnewstalkradio.com, we stream worldwide, so it's possible. I'm not, okay, I'm tooting my own horn a little bit, but like, it is possible. The point is, got to be careful with that stuff, man. And I bring this around to Jamarcus Russell, who wants a second chance in the NFL. And I think a lot of people are giving him a lot of grief for this because Jamarcus Russell got paid a lot of money. He was drafted before Bradford. So he was in that basically mega millions bunch of quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall by the Oakland Raiders, where he had an addiction to purple drink, also known as codeine syrup. He had a situation where he wasn't a very hard worker. He wasn't practicing very hard. He wasn't working very hard. He was demonstratively overweight. Like, he was very overweight for an NFL quarterback, like an unacceptable weight to be playing professional sports, and didn't seem to care. And it wasn't very long before Jamarcus Russell was out of the league, didn't mentally prepare for the games the way that you're supposed to if you want to succeed. And he was out of the league. And I think it was the position of myself and several fans of football that, like, yeah, dude, you had that coming to you. Like, you deserve what happened to you being out of the league. And I still kind of agree with that. Like, if you didn't prepare to keep the job that you got, you're not going to keep it. That's not just the NFL. That's every job. Okay. If you work at a grocery store and you don't meet the minimal requirements of a person who works at a grocery store, you're not keeping that grocery store job. It's not happening. But Jamarcus Russell looks like he's had a change of heart. Like, it's like he's wanted a second chance at playing football. He's wanted to come back. He wants another opportunity. He's lost a lot of weight. I mean, the dude looks good. And I think somebody should give him a shot on like a practice squad situation. Like, let's just see in the preseason, is Jamarcus Russell actually capable of being on an NFL team and getting another opportunity? I think he deserves a second chance. And I think where you get that level of entitlement that makes you probably up there in irrationality levels with only Beyonce's craziest fans is where you look at Jamarcus Russell and go, you know what? You were bad at football. You don't deserve a second chance. Yeah, where do you come in saying that? What gives you the right to say that to Jamarcus Russell? Who's got, for all intents and purposes, a better body of work to show for football than you do? Like, Jamarcus Russell, we act like when Jamarcus Russell was drafted, it was just a clear consensus he was going to be a bust. No, he wasn't. Jamarcus Russell was amazing at LSU. He was gigantic. He was impossible to tackle. He was like enormous Ben Roethlisberger, who is already enormous. He was impossible to tackle, and attached to his arm, where his arm should be, was a howitzer cannon. He could just throw the ball with a flick of a wrist 60 yards. That's why people thought he was going to be good. That's why people drafted him. The reason why he wasn't good was effort. And it looks like he's ready to try and put the effort in now, and he's not asking for millions of dollars. He's not delusional, a la Sam Bradford. He's willing to play for free. Now I'm like, hey, Jamarcus, don't play for free. Like, get paid a little bit. But I'd like to see Jamarcus Russell get a second go in the NFL. I'd be interested in seeing what a more focused Jamarcus Russell would even look like. We're going to talk about the NBA. Injuries galore. Steph Curry re-injures himself, and Chris Paul gets injured too. Next.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Finding just the right place to live can be a daunting task. Stop your search. In Chattanooga, the place to live is Cross Creek Villas for under $1,000 and available for immediate move-in. You can enjoy this 2-bedroom split layout, over 1,000 square feet, 9-foot ceilings, an extra large patio or balcony. And don't forget to ask about their preferred employer program. Cross Creek Villas is a gated community offering a 24-hour fitness facility, a beautiful pool and hot tub, and Cross Creek Villas is pet friendly. Stroll the pet park with your best friend and enjoy the free use of their business center and clubhouse. Plus, if you mention you heard this on the radio, your application fee is free. Cross Creek Villas, close to downtown off of Highway 58. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com. That's crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. That's 894-0446. Redefine the way you live at Cross Creek Villas. Go to crosscreekchattanooga.com or call 894-0446. Cross Creek Villas. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds has got on his sunglasses. He's buying so many glittering diamonds today, he's almost going blind looking at the haul. Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, come on in today. He'll give you top dollar on a sparkling field of diamonds, an ocean of value that he wants to convert into cash for you. Come on in today, sell your diamonds. You'll get the biggest wad of dollars anywhere for your gleaming diamond. Rick Diamonds Golden Diamonds. Rick wants to meet you in person today. Diamonds, Rick loves them. He'll take your diamonds and gold and you'll walk out with ready-made money in your pocket. Hundreds, 50s, 20s, and $10 bills. Cash, cash, cash at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds. Rick Davis, Brainerd Road near Eastgate Town Center. Cash, 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 and more cash.
You expect partly cloudy and milder weather out there through the nighttime. Lows only around 60. For your Wednesday, a very warm day. Still mainly dry, becoming breezy. Highs 84 to 87 with a few widely scattered showers and storms marching in from the west later Wednesday night through Thursday morning. Try Little Caesar's large, hot and ready bacon wrap crust deep dish. Wrapped in over 3.5 feet of crispy bacon and hot and ready every day between 4 and 8 p.m. Only at Little Caesars. And I'm Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. The district attorney is investigating a deadly accident that happened at the Nickajack Bridge on I-24 in Jasper. A Tennessee Highway Patrol vehicle was among the vehicles involved in that wreck, and a motorcyclist was killed. One eyewitness said he saw a state trooper vehicle rushing to the scene of a non-emergency accident, then hitting a motorcyclist and 2 other vehicles. This caused a shutdown of I-24 for several hours. Hamilton County deputies are investigating a shooting that apparently occurred just off the 9,000 block of Westminster Circle. Sheriff deputies have confirmed that one person who was injured has been found and taken to a hospital for treatment. They've also purportedly found a man who has been detained for questioning. Apparently, the Sheriff's Department does not believe that this case is related to any of the recent gang violence. Another earthquake shook the Tennessee Valley today. It's been measured at a 2.1 on the Richter scale, located about 12.4 miles west-southwest of Lafayette. happened at about 1:32 a.m. today. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
So we've got another defector to Fox Sports Radio. Skip Bayless is leaving ESPN for Fox Sports Radio. Now, I think this is interesting because Colin Cowherd, first off, he's on this station as just basically a fact of his divorce from ESPN, and ESPN has just been losing people. Part of it is their own downsizing. They downsized and they've released a number of people. But then also they are losing people. People are choosing to leave ESPN to go to Fox Sports, to go to CBS Sports and make more money in those places. And I'm all for it, by the way. I am not against people trying to make more money, trying to expand their brand, trying not to be squashed underneath one single corporation, because ESPN is a corporation. They're a family company. They're owned by Disney. There's a limit to what you can say and how you can be working for them and working with them. They have things that, for instance, their deal with the NFL. They have a deal with the NFL, which means you're trying to be more critical of the NFL. You can't. Not to the extent that you like to be. You don't like the way the NFL is handling concussions. There's just a limit to how far you'd be willing to go there, because that company has a vested interest in making the game of football look purely good no matter what. But I think it's fascinating that people are leaving ESPN, because ESPN is going to get you, if what your goal in life is to express yourself to the most amount of people possible, ESPN is going to get you that. More so than any of these other companies. And they're trying to come up. NBC Sports, Sports Illustrated, they're tied together. You're trying to get more exposure. So you're trying to steal stars from other companies. This is how it works, by the way, in every media that you consume. If you wonder why somebody that you like is in one network and then suddenly they're somewhere else, that's what happened. With sports, I think it's a little bit more obvious, a little bit more clear cut. You've got a guy like Rich Eisen that used to be on ESPN for years and years and years, and now he's on Fox Sports Radio. He's got a show there, as well as having his shows on the NFL Network. I mean, you've got guys that leave ESPN, and ESPN continues trucking forward. Okay, they're not losing any steam particularly, but they are, but they're not losing steam because they're losing guys like Skip Bayless. Okay, this doesn't really hurt ESPN. The brand is bigger. Okay, people don't really care. We don't tune in to see Skip Bayless. We don't tune in to see Stephen A. or Bill Simmons. It's bigger than you. Now, when you get to the level of a Bill Simmons or a Colin Cowherd, you've got a little bit of clout. People will follow you. But more often than not, if I was on the air today and I come, my time here at Hot News Talk Radio comes to an end, at some point, it's not going to be, oh, I'm not listening to Hot News Talk Radio anymore because they don't have Keon. I'm not that big. I don't think that highly of myself. This station will be fine without me. The brand is bigger than I am. So when you see a guy like Skip Bayless leaving, it does take away some of ESPN's star power, but they'll replace it. Okay, it's not like they're replacing Skip Bayless with dead air. They'll replace it. They'll find some other, curmudgeon to argue with Stephen A. And Stephen A is having his own contract battles with ESPN. So they might have, two new curmudgeons arguing with each other. That's fine. But a lot of people are making a huge deal about this. Like Skip Bayless this is like the death knell of ESPN. No, it's not. They're still number one when it comes to sports. You think of what network is synonymous with sports, it's still them. And it's going to be them for a while. But I do think it is smart because part of building up the brand, if you're not in first place, right? Like not everybody else is the monolith. If you're tuning in to Fox Sports Radio, you're tuning in mostly for Colin Cowherd, I would think. That's why I tune in. I don't know anybody else at Fox Sports. There's Dan O'Toole and Jay Honore from they used to work for ESPN, TSN, the Canadian version of ESPN, and they do the highlights at Fox Sports now, and they're fantastic. They're great highlight guys, but like you don't tune in because, well, I can't wait to see more Jay Honore and Dan O'Toole. You tune in because you're already watching. Because you came into the circus tent to see Colin Cowherd, and you're still here. Okay. You're listening to AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I do have to say, though, I do have this annoying thing, because I was listening to Cowherd this morning, and he was doing a film breakdown with Greg Cosell. And Greg Cosell is amazing. He's got a great football mind. He knows more football than or he'll probably, well, let me say it this way. He's probably forgotten more football than I will ever know. He's that brilliant. But he was breaking down some Carson Wentz film today, and if you had Fox Sports 1 and you were watching Colin Cowherd's show on TV, I feel like you got more out of that experience than those of us listening on the radio. And I don't know how I feel about this trend of radio and TV, but it's the future. It's the future. People don't just sit down and listen to radio. Okay, I was an odd kid. When I was a kid, I did that. I sat down like I lived in the 60s, stared at my radio, and I listened to sports radio until my parents told me it was time to go to bed. And then I went to bed and I turned the volume down and I kept listening to radio. That's what I liked. Most people don't do that. Most people, you don't listen to the radio until you get in your car, right? You might have a host or two that you really like you might really, really like listening to Russell in the morning. But mostly you're not making appointments with the radio. It's on because you're in your car. And it's cool. I appreciate that you're listening to me right now. That's for sure. And there are multiple ways to do so. You can listen to us on hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream 24/7, 365. You can also check us out on YouTube. Check out our Twitter page, by the way. Twitter page can take you everywhere. The website can take you everywhere. Hotnewstalkradio.com can take you to the Twitter page, the YouTube page, and the Facebook page. And if you want to catch how we're streaming live, you want to see what my face looks like, you can catch all of our local shows. So that's where we're at with that. I'd like to talk about the NBA right now. At first I wasn't interested in the NBA playoffs, and then I became very suddenly very interested, and now I am as interested as I was going to get. And I don't know if the injuries have any part to do with this. In fact, I'm sure that they do, but here's what the injuries have done to the NBA playoffs in the Western Conference. The Western Conference was supposed to be basically a formality. It was a bunch of games leading up to Warriors and Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. And we've had some injuries, right? Steph Curry gets injured over the weekend, sprains his knee, slipping on a wet spot of floor. And the MRI, he needs 2 weeks to be reevaluated. So you're a Warriors fan, your head's hanging down a little bit low because, yeah, you're still going to be able to beat the Rockets without Steph. But you can't possibly expect to make it to the Western Conference Finals. At least expect to have that one penciled in without Steph. Especially if you were going to go through the Clippers. Well, the Clippers, last night, Chris Paul breaks his hand. So if he gets surgery on his hand, he's done for 3 to 6 weeks. The Clippers went from, oh, the Warriors are banged up. We might be able to make it to the Western Conference Finals and maybe play the Spurs, to We might not get out of the first round. We might not beat the Blazers. And it's weird because there's a ton of narrative that surrounds all of these things. The thing that propels sports, as we all know, is stories. It's narrative. It's what we add to make the sport make sense. That any psychologist will tell you that your life makes sense to you because there's an actual part of your brain that makes up the story of your life. So if you're a negative person and you seem to think that you've always got bad luck and you're always down on your luck, part of that is that your brain writes this story about your life, that everything is always wrong for me. Everything doesn't go my way. I don't know why things end up like this. And if you want your life to start going in a better direction, you actually need to consciously rewrite the story of your life in your mind differently. You have to, or you're not going to be successful. There's a part of your brain that controls that. And when we watch sports, we do the same thing. We attach narrative to what it is that we're seeing. And what we're seeing now is a bunch of really bad injuries, but specifically with the Clippers, right? The narrative of Chris Paul always choking and never getting it done. And this is another season where he's not going to be able to try and get a championship for his team. And it's an unfair narrative. But what you want to explain in your mind is, how is it that this great player like Chris Paul can never seem to make it beyond the second round or make it past the first round? He's such a great player. Why can't he? And then we say that he's a choker, and we say this, that, and the other thing. And if he ends his career without a ring, that's going to stick to him, because we were doing it to Peyton Manning too. Before Peyton Manning finally won that championship over the Bears, we were doing it to Peyton, writing that story about how he could never get over the hump, how he could never win the big one. We did it to Steve Young. We will do it to anybody to explain why it is that a great player can't win. We were doing it to LeBron before he went to Miami, which is crazy to think that we were that early in LeBron's career and labeling him a choker already. And then he went to Miami. They lost to Dallas his first year in Miami, and the narrative came back. LeBron, he's a choker. He can never win the big one. Come on, guys. Like, it's the story that you attach to explain something, and it's not something you do consciously. If you sit down and look at the numbers, you'll find out you're actually wrong about that. When we talk about Tony Romo and how he's not a clutch player, he never gets it done in the fourth quarter. But look at Tony Romo's fourth quarter numbers. They're good, if not great. He's possibly the most clutch quarterback ever. He's got more fourth quarter victories than any active quarterback. But you can't explain to yourself how it is that a great player like that collapses from time to time. So you make up a story to explain it. And here's where we are. Chris Paul breaks his hand. It's something that is not something he can control. A hand fracture. But the further we get from this season, in hindsight, you're just going to remember Chris Paul couldn't get it done. Chris Paul couldn't get it done. Chris Paul couldn't get it done. And that is not only ridiculous, it's unfair. He plays in a team sport, in a sport that tends to, more so than other sports, be dominated by the same four teams. Before the Golden State Warriors won a title last year, the teams that had represented the Western Conference in the previous 15 years were the San Antonio Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Four teams representing one conference over a 15-year span. And if you add the Warriors, that's still ridiculous. 5 teams in 15 years, or 16 years. The same 5 teams. So it's ridiculous that we're gonna pin this on Chris Paul. I'm telling you, like, again, next year, people are gonna go, oh, Chris Paul, you're just gonna remember that he didn't win one again, and that's gonna be ridiculous. Like, at least With Steph, he's got that narrative written differently because he's already gotten his championship. But the narrative about how he's injury prone and how his body's breaking down and, boy, the Warriors should never have bet on that guy. I mean, he's one more injury away from that happening, even though the ankle thing, that was a fluky accident of an injury. And then he slips on the floor and sprains his knee. That's a fluky accident of an injury. And Colin Cowherd is talking this morning about how the league, guys aren't as big and strong as they used to be because you want to lose weight because running around is more important than power. And he's right about that, but I don't think that's why guys are getting injured. Like, having more muscle mass was not going to stop Chris Paul's hand from breaking. Having more muscle mass was not going to stop Steph Curry's knee from spraining. When you slip on the wet floor, you slip on the wet floor. That's out of your control. That's not something that you can control by hitting the weight room more. When you break your hand, you break your hand. Okay, and more muscle isn't going to stop your hand from breaking. It might pad some of your other bones, but your hands tend not to be the ones. Okay, this is why, despite the fact that boxers work out all the time, you still wear gloves. You're protecting your hands. You're listening to AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you for joining me today, giving me just a little bit of your time. I was looking through the ratings of Gennady Golovkin and Dominic Wade, and I was interested in seeing what the ratings of that fight was, because people talk about boxing being dead regularly. And boxing continues to somehow find a way to survive. And Golovkin is kind of the new wonder boy of boxing, even though I wouldn't call him a wonder boy. He's 30. But he's a guy that's gotten to the top of boxing on incredible skill and incredible power. He's so much fun to watch. He had a knockout in the second round Saturday night over Dominic Wade. And the ratings for that came in 1.4 million viewers watching Golovkin. And that was, with the NHL and the NBA playoffs going on. And this is not counting, by the way, the people who were able to watch the fight for free because HBO was giving away a free weekend to get everybody to watch Game of Thrones, which, that show had the entire NFL all kinds of messed up because of one particular moment of one particular character in that episode. That things that you see that you can't unsee. How about that? And we'll leave that where it is. But that show was competing with that fight was competing with a lot of things, and the UFC was on that night as well. John Jones was fighting, and 1.4 million viewers. That's really good. Boxing's still around. I don't think it'll ever die. It'll never be as popular as it once was, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Boxing, you see sports like boxing and baseball, like they're just things that we've become more, as Americans, we've become more niche. Okay? If you like something, it's probably not going to be the most popular thing of all time. Like outside of football, it's not going to be the greatest thing ever. Everyone's not going to just love it. Football seems to be the anomaly. But like people who like baseball, they're a certain kind of person. People who like NASCAR, they're a certain kind of person. People who like baseball tend to be stat driven, right? They like numbers. They like statistics. People who like basketball like stars. They like action. They like things to happen immediately. Okay, millennials really like basketball. Just a fact. It's very watchable. Okay. People who like NASCAR, they really like things that go back and forth. They're patient. Okay, you got to sit down. You got to watch a whole race. It's long. The setup, the payoff is worth it if there's a great finish. But you've got to sit there and be able to be patient. Same thing if you like golf. You've got to watch a lot of it for a payoff that worth it. But you've got to watch a ton. Okay? You just do. So that's incredible that boxing is still just kind of floating around here. And if you like boxing, that you actually like it for the same reason that football is popular, that there's this blend of strategy and violence that appeals to fans of fighting sports and heavily contacted sports. It's not just a bunch of guys running into one another, but also there's a strategy, there's an extra layer of mental sparring going on, if those are the sports that you like. So it's interesting to see that we've actually become more niche in a way with how we consume these sports, and sports that we thought were going to die. Like we thought boxing was dying. It's not going anywhere. It's not huge, but it's not dying. Baseball's not going anywhere. Still here. It just draws a specific kind of person with a specific kind of taste. And I've got a story here also about the Clippers, a breaking story, which is that Blake Griffin will miss the rest of the postseason. Chris Paul will be out 4 to 6 weeks after surgery this morning. So the Clippers are basically done. So you're the Warriors. You went from, no, we're not going to the Western Conference Finals, to foreseeably having an opportunity to go to the Western Conference Finals with enough time for Steph to recover so you can do battle with the Spurs. The Western Conference went from not interesting to opening up and being kind of interesting to closing back down and being not interesting again. And with much less stars. Because we're going to end up watching Warriors and Clippers without Curry. And without Chris Paul. Unless they run into the Blazers. And that could be interesting too, because the Blazers are a fascinating team to me, because first off, they've got Damian Lillard, who is the closest thing in terms of style to Steph Curry that's not Steph Curry. So the Blazers would have essentially the most Steph Curry-like person on the floor. And then beneath that, everybody thought the Blazers were going to be, a nice little story. Like, yeah, okay, you guys made it to the playoffs. You weren't even supposed to make it to the playoffs. You lose LaMarcus Aldridge, who's arguably was your best player last season, and nobody expected him to make it back to the playoffs. No Nick Batum, no Wes Matthews. Here the Blazers are. I don't know if anybody signed up for a Warriors-Blazers series. I don't know that was something that people were clamoring for necessarily, but it's what we've got. But you know what still got me messed up? That whole Beyonce thing, man. We've done this weird thing where we used to try and as like, if you were a celebrity, you used to try and keep your life under wraps and keep that stuff hidden. Right? Like if you made a song, like, Taylor Swift will make a song about whoever it is breaking her heart right now. But like it was always vague and hinted at, right? Like it was never just overtly, yeah, I know exactly who it is that you're cheating on me with, and you better stop that. Like we've never had that before. And our celebrities are kind of mirroring our society in terms of, we like to put ourselves out there and we like to put our business out there. We want everybody to know our business, and it's on Instagram and it's on Twitter and it's on everywhere. And that's crazy to me, but that's where we've gone as a society. That's the way we've chosen to go. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on AM 1240 Odd News Talk Radio. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. And I'll see you in 24 hours. Stick around. The boys of Free Talk Live coming up next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All hand blended. Shake, shake, shake it. Down at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Just about any flavor shake that you can imagine. and they are delicious. Get your Shake, Shake, Shake on at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries, located at Hickson at North Point, Gun Barrel at the Walmart Center, downtown 4th and Broad, and in Cleveland at Keith and Stewart. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
Unlimited streaming, T-Mobile. No overages. T-Mobile. Get the latest Samsung smartphones. T-Mobile. No credit check required. T-Mobile. Let's set the record straight on coverage. T-Mobile has the best coverage in the Chattanooga area. For a limited time, get 50% off a Samsung tablet when you buy a select Samsung Galaxy smartphone. Only at T-Mobile. T-Mobile, doing data differently. T-Mobile. Unlimited streaming. No overages. T-Mobile. Route 153 Hickson. Next to Starbucks. Open till 8. Call 876-9022. That's 876-9022 for T-Mobile.
Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house. Money, lots and lots of money. I want to buy in the sky.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been